We open in a basement where Jay is absolutely losing his mind. His body is covered in an unbearable itch, and he's fighting every urge to scratch. The sensation is so intense that he grabs a gun, considering ending it all right then and there. He manages to stop himself just in time, but then he grabs a pair of pliers. He starts pulling at his own nails, hoping the sharp pain will finally drown out the itching. To see how things got this bad, we have to go back to earlier that morning. After a night of heavy drinking, Jay is woken up by his father, Joe, pounding on the door. Joe is there to drop off Jay's daughter, Olivia. Joe mentions that his wife is sick, so Jay agrees to cover the family store today so Joe can stay home and take care of her. While getting ready, Jay can't stop scratching his neck. His mind wanders to his late wife. Her first symptom was vomiting, and the hospital bills from her illness are still piling up. Olivia doesn't speak. She communicates by writing in a notebook. She asks to visit her mom's grave, but Jay tells her they can't go right now, wishing she would just talk to him instead. Jay drops Olivia off at school and asks if the bullies are still messing with her. She nods, but refuses his help with the teacher. Jay tells her she needs to stand up for herself, but she ignores him and heads inside. Jay then realizes she dropped her notebook. He flips through it and is devastated by what he finds.
The pages are filled with dark drawings of his drinking, their constant fights, and how much he misses her mother. He's haunted by memories of his wife covered in blood, but a school guard snaps him out of it. The guard takes the notebook back to Olivia. While driving through town, Jay keeps drinking. On the radio, a man is ranting about a scabies outbreak, blaming refugees. Another caller claims the itch is just a viral hoax and that people are hurting themselves just for social media clout. When Jay gets to the store, he's confronted by an ex-employee named Miguel, who claims Jay owes him money. Jay has no idea what he's talking about, but he notices Miguel is frantically scratching his face. Miguel threatens him and leaves. Lisa, an employee, explains that Joe fired Miguel for stealing. Jay heads to the office where his wife's paintings still hang on the walls. He remembers how she and Olivia used to paint together. Later, the delivery truck arrives and Jay opens the sidewalk hatch to slide the stock into the basement.
Suddenly, a woman covered in blood stumbles into the store begging for help, claiming something is biting her. She starts scratching herself so violently she causes horrific injuries, screaming that she feels like she's on fire. She eventually collapses and vomits blood. The police arrive and Jay explains her symptoms. The detective admits this isn't an isolated incident. He thought it was a stunt too, but after today, he knows it's real. After the cops take the woman away, Joe calls Jay. Jay asks about Miguel, and Joe confirms he caught the guy stealing. In the background, Jay hears his mom coughing. Joe insists it's just a bug, but Jay is worried. Looking out the window, Jay sees another person on the street clawing at their own face. He remembers his wife asking him to raise Olivia right, but his only response back then was that he couldn't do it alone. Jay heads out for a walk, drinking and noticing more and more people on the street scratching themselves raw. He then gets a call from the school. Olivia has been suspended for biting another kid. Jay rushes to the school. Olivia covers her ears and hums to tune him out while he scolds her while he stamps his foot. To keep his own temper in check, Jay counts down from 10. He finally gives in and takes her to the cemetery. Olivia whispers to her mother's headstone, then starts ripping pages out of her notebook on the ride back. As sirens wail around them, she turns up the radio to drown out the noise. The news reports that the city is descending into violence and hospitals are completely overrun. Flights are grounded, and there are rumors of a massive terror attack. When they get back to the store, Jay sees that all the nearby shops have already shut down. Right as they're about to close, two robbers, Gabriella and a masked man, burst in and force Lisa to lower the security shutters. While Lisa bags the cash, Gabriella forces Jay to take the masked man to the safe in the basement. Meanwhile, a customer named Henry hides behind a shelf and calls the cops. Olivia is also hiding, but she accidentally kicks a can, alerting Gabriella. In the basement, Jay struggles to open the safe. He recognizes the robber's voice and pulls down the mask to reveal Miguel. Jay begs him to just take the money and go. Suddenly, a gunshot echoes from upstairs. Jay rushes back and finds Olivia. He gives her an emergency locator and sends her to hide in the basement. Jay grabs a utility knife and finds Lisa bleeding out. Gabriella explains that Olivia bit her, causing her gun to go off by accident. Jay forces Miguel to help apply pressure while he uses cotton and tape to create a makeshift bandage for Lisa. A police officer arrives and starts pounding on the shutters. Miguel and Gabriella watch the security feed, arguing over what to do. Suddenly, a mob of itchers surrounds the cop and starts beating him to death. Henry finally comes out of hiding and plays an emergency broadcast on his phone. The city is under total lockdown due to an outbreak of the itch. The main symptom is a pathological, uncontrollable urge to scratch yourself and others.
Gabriella thinks it's a joke and threatens Jay, but he manages to disarm her and push her toward Miguel. Jay and Henry use zip ties and tape to tie the robbers to a column. The radio announces that all emergency services are suspended. Anyone caught scratching for more than 10 seconds is now considered a public threat and can be met with deadly force. Jay's locator starts ringing. He runs to the basement and finds a random person scratching someone else to death. The infected person lunges at Jay and he's forced to shoot him. He realizes the sidewalk hatch was left open, which is how they got in. He padlocks it and eventually finds Olivia hiding in a supply closet. As he leads her away, we see one of the dead bodies in the basement twitch. Jay leaves Olivia in the office and returns to the storefront. Miguel tells him that Henry bolted upstairs. Jay finds Henry armed with an axe. Henry drops it, swearing he's not a violent guy. He's just terrified.
Jay lets him use the bathroom and checks the news. Politicians are denying the outbreak while the internet is flooded with videos of people clawing their skin off. Jay tries to call his dad again, but there's no answer. Jay and Henry worry they've been exposed because of the bodies downstairs. Miguel points out that they need to work together if they want to survive. He mentions his niece, Gabriella, is pregnant, which convinces Jay to untie them. Lisa wakes up and admits she was the one stealing from the store, apologizing to Miguel. More gunshots. The cameras show the police driving through the streets, executing anyone who looks infected. Henry finds a report saying the itch is caused by a regenerative parasite, but Gabriella is convinced it's the work of the devil. Upstairs, Miguel scolds Gabriella for the shooting. She reminds him he was supposed to look out for her after her dad died. Henry looks at a photo of his boyfriend and suddenly starts scratching his face. He uses Jay's trick and counts down from 10 to stop himself. In the office, Olivia asks if Lisa's shooting was her fault. Jay comforts her and promises to keep her safe. She asks about her grandpa, and Jay finally gets through to Joe. Joe tells Olivia he loves her, then asks to speak to Jay privately. Joe reveals that Jay's mother is infected and scratched him. He plans to kill her and then himself before they turn into monsters. Jay begs him to wait, but Joe just says, "I love you," and hangs up. Jay has a breakdown, and Olivia comforts him. He plays an old video of his dad to cheer her up, but once she falls asleep, he notices her scratching her arm. He starts the countdown, and thankfully she stops before he hits 0. Jay hears a noise outside and sees the dead police officer from earlier starting to stand up. Meanwhile, Gabriella tries to sneak off with a hammer, but Miguel stops her. They realize the bodies in the basement are probably going to wake up too. Henry stays with the girls while the men go downstairs to investigate. They find one body missing. Suddenly, the dead man grabs Miguel's leg. Miguel hacks at him with an axe while Jay finishes him off with a gun. The infected woman from earlier runs past them toward the stairs. They chase after her, but Gabriella has already taken her out with a hammer. To make sure they stay dead, the group puts the bodies in tanks and douses them in corrosive chemicals. The smell is so bad, Miguel throws up. Jay tells Miguel he never really thought he was a thief, but Miguel says it's too late for apologies. He reveals Gabriella's boss got her pregnant and then abandoned her. Suddenly, Henry calls out. He's found Lisa dead. Gabriella's guilt boils over, and she snaps at Olivia, blaming the little girl for the shooting. Jay takes Olivia back to the office, and Miguel follows to apologize for Gabriella's outburst. He notes that Lisa was a devout Catholic, and they should give her a proper send-off.
They hold a small funeral. Olivia leaves a drawing on the body while Miguel prays. Gabriella finally takes responsibility and gives Olivia a fist bump. As Henry tries to move Lisa's body, she wakes up and grabs him. Henry grabs a heavy cash register and smashes her head until she stops moving. After they dump Lisa in the chemical tank, Henry goes to the bathroom to clean up. He's been scratched, but he lies to the group and says he's fine. Jay sets the table for a nice dinner with canned food and candles. An explosion rocks the building. Since they can't do anything about the chaos outside, Jay puts on some music. Jay finds a bottle of his dad's whiskey. He lets the other men drink, but announces he's done with alcohol for good. Henry reveals he hasn't seen his family since he came out to them, making him cherish this moment. Gabriella takes Olivia to the bathroom.
Jay tells the guys that Olivia hasn't spoken a word since her mother died. He admits he and his wife grew apart after the birth. He confesses he cheated on her and they were about to get a divorce right before she got cancer. He watched her suffer and used alcohol to numb the guilt. Suddenly, the music stops. The cell signal is gone. A final emergency broadcast says all comms are disabled due to a foreign threat. Martial law is in effect. Everyone is in permanent quarantine. Henry starts scratching. Jay is suspicious, but Henry counts down to prove he's okay. Suddenly, a scream erupts from the bathroom. They find Gabriella has had a miscarriage. She's holding the dead baby, completely devastated. Miguel realizes she has a high fever. Henry says it's sepsis and she'll die without antibiotics. There's a pharmacy nearby, but it's a suicide mission. Miguel insists on going to save his niece. Jay, feeling the weight of his past failures, agrees to help. Miguel takes the gun and heads out. Jay is pacing and scratching his shoulder. Henry asks if he's okay, so Jay leaves the room to hide his symptoms. The second Jay is gone, Henry starts clawing at his entire body. He hides in the basement bathroom, unaware that Jay is listening and counting his scratches through the door. Henry sees he's urinating blood. The itch takes over and he mutilates himself scratching. Jay enters the basement with an axe. He finds blood on the toilet, but Henry is gone.
He finds Henry hiding in a closet. Henry begs Jay to lock him in, saying he doesn't want to hurt anyone. Jay refuses to take the risk of Henry escaping. When the talking stops, Jay opens the door. A mutated Henry lunges at him, knocking the axe away. They wrestle on the floor. Henry tries to choke Jay but suddenly drops dead. Olivia had followed them and thrown an axe into Henry's back. Jay sends her away and then proceeds to dismember Henry's body.
Jay washes up and realizes he's been scratched. He hears Miguel banging on the storefront shutters. Jay lets him in just before an infected person can follow. Before opening the inner door, Jay makes Miguel prove he isn't wounded. Miguel shows his clean arm and hands over the meds. Jay takes them and leaves Miguel locked in the storefront, heading to see Gabriella. He finds her sleeping, but when he pulls back the blanket, he sees she's been scratched. He drops the medicine. It's useless now. Miguel yells through the door that the world outside is hell. Everyone is being executed. Jay admits that he and Henry are both sick. Jay covers his body in anti-itch cream. He brings sleeping meds to Olivia and tells her he can't be near her anymore. Olivia writes, "I need you," but Jay tells her she's brave like her mother and will be fine. He gives her his phone with all their family photos and they share a tearful "I love you" before she drifts off. Upstairs, Gabriella's infection takes hold. Her skin is peeling off and she's bleeding everywhere. To spare her the transformation, Jay smothers her with a pillow until she dies. Miguel starts scratching uncontrollably behind the door. Jay counts, but Miguel can't stop. He's turned. Miguel begs to see Gabriella. Jay opens the door and Miguel loses it when he finds her dead. He realizes Jay killed her and attacks. Jay tries to shoot, but the gun is empty. Miguel had secretly removed the bullets before handing it over. Miguel gets Jay in a chokehold until he passes out. Driven by revenge, Miguel points the gun at the sleeping Olivia and prays. Before he can pull the trigger, a noise distracts him. He heads upstairs to find that Gabriella has revived as a mindless monster. Jay wakes up and uses the opening to slash Miguel's throat. Jay then shoots the monster Gabriella. He spends his last bits of sanity cleaning the store and locking it tight to keep Olivia safe. He leaves a final note in her notebook. Jay retreats to the basement, sealing every entrance. When the itch becomes unbearable, he goes back to the pliers. Sometime later, Olivia wakes up. She finds a chore list Jay left for her on a whiteboard, a guide on how to survive alone. After reading his letter, she walks to the basement door and says, "Daddy, I'm here for you."